This guy, Flash Thompson, he probably deserved what happened. But just because you can beat him up doesn't give you the right to. Remember, with great power comes great responsibility.
Welcome back to the channel. We are starting to get some information regarding Marvel Comics April 2021 publishing plans. Obviously, yesterday we talked about Donny Cates, Ryan Stegman, Venom 200, and them leaving the series. Today we're going to talk about Marvel exploring something that they've done a lot, but they haven't done a lot lately. The what-if scenario, where they go back and take a key point in the character's existence and they flip it on its head. They change an outcome or they change a decision, and we get to see what if something had happened. The first one up is going to be Chip Zdarsky on Spider-Man. And what if Spider-Man decided to become Venom? He didn't fight the suit. He embraced it. Venom never left him, or he never abandoned Venom to go be discovered by Eddie Brock, in the cathedral, eventually on Flash Thompson. As most of you know, I do personally think that Chip Zdarsky is the very best writer at Marvel Comics, just as far as quality. He seems to get every character pretty much spot on. He has a knack for telling action-oriented but deep stories within his comic books. I think he's the perfect choice for this. And really, if you think about it, Chip Zdarsky really did kind of a what-if story not that long ago with Spider-Man Life Story. What if Peter aged in real time? And all of these events that happened within the Spider-Man timeline happened at the age that he would have been if he was aging along with the rest of us. Very good series. Didn't end as high as I had personally liked, but I think this is a cool idea. But I will say this: Spider-Man, Spider Shadow is redundant use of the word spider. It's probably stupid. They probably could have come up with a better name than that. Obviously, we do see that it's not called What If Spider-Man, Spider Shadow. It's just, it's a new take on what ifs. It's not a one-shot. It is a 4-part mini-series. And I think that Chip Zdarsky is the perfect choice to launch this new what if universe that Marvel Comics is going forward with. Obviously, we know that we are getting a lot of what if stuff on Disney Plus. That's some of the new original material that they're going to be doing there. Chip Zdarsky, besides Spider-Man Life Story, was the writer behind Peter Parker Amazing Spider-Man until that kind of wrapped up. Now, I will say his first, 5 or 6 issues on that series were absolutely awful. After that, he found his groove. It got amazing, and it ended up with what I still think is the best comic issue that we probably had in the last 4 or 5 years. Peter Parker, Spectacular Spider-Man 310. If you have not read that, he not only wrote that, he illustrated it, and it is absolute perfection. You're missing out if you have not read that. Now, Spider-Man, Spider Shadow is going to be Peter Parker embracing the Venom symbiote. And what would have happened following those events? That seems like a very exciting premise. Falls right in line with what-if stories and prime material for exploration to see what Peter Parker's life would have been moving forward if he had succumbed to the Venom symbiote. This is how they are describing it. Peter Parker once put on an alien suit that nearly destroyed his life. But what if he'd never taken it off? Ignoring every warning, Spidey embraces the dark symbiote, haunted by terrible nightmares and exhausted by an endless barrage of bad guys. Peter can't seem to catch a break these days, so when the Hobgoblin attacks, he finds a hero at the end of his rope and vulnerable to new dark impulses. Spider-Man is about to change his rules, but is it truly Peter who's in charge? Now, they're also describing this as one of the most ruthless Spider-Man stories ever by Marvel. And artist Pasqual Ferry has called it shocking and surprising. Now, we do know that Spider-Man is currently in a pretty brutal story arc of his own in Amazing Spider-Man with the Last Remains postmortem. He's basically been seen beaten to death, and he had to ask Kindred basically to murder him to save his friends. So that's a high bar to scale for Marvel and Spider-Man these days. So we shall see what Chip Zdarsky does with the character. We did get some preview art of what Pasqual Ferry is going to be doing. Obviously, we do see Peter Parker in the Venom symbiote black Spider-Man suit, obviously squaring off with the Hobgoblin. It does not look like it's going to go well for the Hobgoblin. I wonder, is he going to murder him? Is that the first thing that Peter Parker is going to do when he succumbs to the pressures and his newfound impulses that are being forced into his head by the Venom symbiote? that he hadn't realized was actually kind of possessing him or even evil. Should be a very fun story. Obviously, it's 4 issues, longer than a normal What If story, but I think that's plenty of time to probably explore this and see it to where the very dark conclusion that this obviously is going to be. Now, I enjoy these kind of stories. I absolutely love what DC Comics is doing with their Tales from the Dark Multiverse, where they're taking classic DC stories like The Death of Superman, Nightfall, things like that, and they kind of turn them on their head, and we get a really dark version of that. Sounds like that's kind of what Marvel is doing, at least for this Spider-Man Spider Shadow series. And I couldn't be more excited. I hope they keep doing these in the future because it sounds like it's going to be a ton of fun. What do you guys think? Is Spider-Man Spider Shadow worthy of the What If legacy? And will it carry it on? Is Chip Zdarsky the right choice? Is Peter Parker embracing and becoming Venom the right choice for a What If story? And what story would you like to be tackled after this in this new What If line that they're going to be doing? I want to hear from you guys. Now that basically does it, folks. We've got a new era of What If stories, starting with Spider-Man Spider Shadow. Chip Zdarsky, Pasqual Ferry are going to tell the story about Peter Parker embracing the Venom symbiote and basically giving into the dark impulses and the voices that are inside of his head. It's all going to go wrong, people, and I couldn't be more excited.
If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. I would appreciate it very much. It helps us attract more views for the channel. Subscribe for future commentary, comic book news, and reviews. And don't forget to ring the bell for notifications. If you want to talk comics, movies, and much, much more, you can follow me on Twitter at Wes_from_TC. With that, Salamat Po, and I'm out.